Hi, Corinna.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Doing
Good,
well. Yeah.
good.
Looks like we've got a few people starting to roll in.
Hey, everybody.
Hey Adam.
Are you
Hey,
seeing the correct slide? Sorry, I'm having technical challenges.
yeah, but we have it it's not full screen. It's kind of like in we can see the other slides in the sidebar.
All right. From current slide. Why are you being weird? All right, we'll try this a different way. Corinna, can you be letting people in while I'm getting the screen share worked out?
Got some folks trickling in.
Is it the correct version now?
I don't know what we're calling it anymore, but it's maybe the Platypus Bowl now. It's Oregon versus OSU week. It's weird to say. Um, Usually, growing up, it was always in November, right around Thanksgiving, right? And now with all this, college conference realignment, it's in late September, which is odd, but I don't think it's going to be much of a game this year, gang. Uh, just saying. I think the Ducks. Well, right. Well, yeah. You got. I don't know. What else have we got? So, um, I welcome other suggestions for the name. But yeah, sorry to our friends that may be OSU Beaver fans, but I don't think it's going to go great for y'all on Saturday. So fair, Dan. And we can all blame UCLA. I don't know if we have any UCLA alums, but we can all blame UCLA for destroying the Pac-12 because they wanted some extra money. Never forget. So.
Yeah, but would you like, I mean, would you actually pay to watch UCLA and the Beavers play? I mean, that would be a pathetic game.
Yeah, it would not be entertaining. Yeah. Uh, Zafir, I don't, and I'm afraid to ask, if I'm just being honest, in the chat.
You
Uh,
should Google it. I can't tell you, but you can Google it.
feel like I'm on a work computer and I'm not going to do that. But thank you for
That's a smart decision. It's nothing bad. It's just a fun fact about artificial vanilla.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you now. Yeah. Um,
I do think we have quorum. Corinna, can you confirm?
Yes, I believe so.
Sorry to be the fun hater, but that's my job.
no, that's okay. I'm just, filling space. Maybe sometime we'll have Nat do some stand up if they're still doing stand up.
Oh man, I was so excited for a second.
Yeah, maybe we'll start to fill that space with some folks, maybe a little talent show or something. Welcome everybody. It is September 16th. Welcome to our second September meeting in 2025. So we'll start off and just go over some of our objectives for today's meeting, and then we will do roll call. I don't see slides up. Did I lose slides? Does anybody else have slides up?
No slides.
Okay. Just making sure I wasn't missing them on one of my other three screens. Cool. So we've got strategic planning updates. We've got focus on our action plan and process or outcome measures. We're going to hear and discuss some committee reports from our various subcommittees and work groups. We'll just cover all those things, and then we'll finish up with public comments and announcements. So Annette, I will go over to you for roll call.
All right. Thanks, Adam, for roll call. Thank you. Can I have there we go. Thank you. All right. Welcome, everyone, council members. We're going to do our roll call right now. Some folks may be out. I'm not sure. If someone could just let me know if I call their name if they're not able to participate. Okay. For today, Allison Stark and Sonia Little Deer Evans.
Here. That's Allison.
Okay. Jackie Serrano and Sandra Santos.
Jackie's here.
Thank you, Jackie.
I do not see Sandra unless she's on a phone.
Okay. Robin Henderson and Anderson Du Bois.
Robin's here.
Anderson is here.
Thank you, Anderson. Kyle Johnson and Adam Peterson.
Kyle, I'm here.
I believe Adam is excused.
Okay. Judge Marissa Gates and Jesus Nunez Pineda.
Judge Gates is here.
Thank you.
Jesus is here.
Thank you. Kati Mosley and Emily Cooper.
Nat Jacobson for Kati Mosley.
And Simile, I'm
Thank
here.
you. Thank you. Dan Toma and Cindy Cecil.
Dan is here.
Thank you, Dan.
Don't see Cindy.
All right. Ebony Clark and Carissa Cousins.
Ebony's here.
Thank you, Ebony.
Carissa's here.
Thank you so much. Zafir Michael Berry and Jill Archer.
Zafir is here.
Jill is here.
Thank you. Lacey Andreessen, and we have a couple of open seats open, and Alicia Overstreet.
Alicia's here.
Lacey is excused, as is Sandra Santos from earlier.
Oh, okay, great. All right, and Adam Rodakowski.
And Andrew Grover, who is wedged in between the two open seats, but Adam is here.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
I saw Andrew. Sorry about that, Andrew.
Oh, it's okay.
All right.
Facilitation is
Being informed by our public meeting compliance specialist that we do need to read the first slide out. So now I don't know what is wrong with my Zoom to uh, PowerPoint problem, but if we can go back and read this first slide, I will pull it back up. Adam or Annette, I don't really care who does it.
I can do it. That works.
Oh, something is
Facilitation
not
is a team
working.
sport.
All right. Can you see? Hold on. The first slide.
I can. So, welcome to the System Care Advisory Council, September 16th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded and you will be posted to YouTube. By having your camera turned on, you are agreeing to allow your image to be stored and shared via the internet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And can I have our group agreement slide?
Here we
Thank
go.
you. Thank you. Family and youth are welcome to participate in the meeting at any time. Members of the public who are not youth or family members can speak during the public comment period and freely contribute to the chat. You can still send a private chat message to Joylene Carter, Alicia Overstreet, or myself, Annette Magicotami. I don't know. There. Thank you. If you want to, if you have a comment and you want someone else to say it for you. Okay, our group agreements are be present and participate. Varied and opposing ideas are welcome. Challenge ideas, not people. Focus on our mission to improve the system of care of Oregon. Practice a respect, avoid interrupting, and use name and pronouns people introduce themselves with. Honor those with quieter voices. Lean in or lean back. Be mindful of the power dynamics in the room. Avoid acronyms. Use the chat to write definitions or ask for clarifications. And avoid problem solving for individual situations or crisis. And propose solutions. SOCAC uses the GEAR tool to ensure we consider racial disproportionality in all of our decisions. GEAR stands for the Government Alliance on Race and Equity. It requires us to ask the following questions every time we make a decision or a policy program or budget. These questions have been added to our consensus slide to guide our discussions. GEAR questions. What are the racial equity impacts of this decision? Are there strategies to mitigate any unintended consequences? Who will benefit from or be burdened by these decisions? And is the completion of the full racial equity worksheet warranted? And now I will turn it over to Addie Smith for our strategic planning update.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see all of your faces. I am in Kayana, Alaska, so I have super spotty service. So if it's getting wonky or hard for you, just let me know and I will turn my camera off and you'll have to deal with the sort of weird host widget thing that I have up. But hopefully we're going to be okay. So today is one of the rare moments where I don't think you all have to do much of anything. I usually ask you all to do a lot at these meetings, but today is going to be a short and sweet update. We do have one small decision to make, and that's it. So I just wanted to fill you all in. You should have received a copy of the framework and the strategic plan. It's a Word type document. It was about 10 pages. It is the meat and potatoes, one might say, or the tofu and broccoli, as I know we've talked about with this group before, of the strategic plan and where it's going. For context, there will also be a background section that's like, what is SOCAC and what are LSOCs and who are partners? There will also be a process section that's like, first we gathered, then we synthesized, then we've, all the stuff we've been talking about a lot. So there will be other technical sections, but those are sort of, I don't want to call them fluff because they're very important, but they're not the work that we've been spending all that time on. Those are just for those who haven't gotten to spend the last 9 months with me, an opportunity to get up to speed and set the foundations for what we're up to. So you have that sort of broccoli and tofu, meat and potatoes. I see the chat really enjoying those two contradictory ways to describe the center of the strategic plan in front of you. And I want to let you know about all the work that's been happening since we were together last, because your very robust committee and subcommittee system has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. It may feel like you guys had that retreat and then magically all of these things are done, but that's not the case. There's been a lot of work going on with me on the sidelines, just in smaller groups, the smaller groups that you all have that are sort of assigned to do this work. And I've left notes in that document that you've received about all of those pieces of work for those who are visual learners. So really important thing is the SOCAC core strategic planning team met, and we did boring but important work where we looked at the value screens that this group created. And then we went through each goal and each strategy and made sure we were talking about which of those values are reflected, to make sure that all of our goals and values in that strategic plan, all of our goals and strategies in that strategic plan actually met the values we were discussing, right? So we did that cross-referencing work of V1, V4, V5, all of that, to make sure that everything that we created in our time together actually reflected those values. And that was really fun for me, hopefully an okay time for those in that meeting. It was really one of those kind of doing the work in real time. In addition to that, a GARE analysis, which you'll see in the document, the high level version of, has been done. The DEI committee will be, if they have not already, meeting to make sure that they are similarly looking at each goal and each strategy and going through and double checking our work to make sure that GARE isn't just something we say at the beginning of meetings, but it is actually something that each piece of this strategic plan is considering, reflecting, and embedding in that work. That will be happening. In addition to that, our fearless data team, I think, was sort of shouldering a large burden of this work. There have been a set of indicators. So you'll see sort of general well-being of Oregon's system of care. The data team, along with Cody, has been putting the time in to make sure that we have big picture umbrella indicators of how the system's going. And then in October, they will be digging in. You can see the note on this if you open the document, Christy just put in the chat, that says process measures. So for each of the goals, we'll have a handful of process measures. So are we moving in the right direction to achieve that goal? So that's also coming. So we have been filling that in. In addition, I got the extreme pleasure of getting to join the Family Advisory Council and the Youth Council. Youth Council meets on Fridays at the end of the day, y'all. That is some serious business, let me tell you. But I had two really wonderful meetings where we went beyond just the strategic plan and really dug into the action plan. And I am, if it's okay with you, Anna, because I think you're the computer person, I'm going to share a view of the action plan with folks who haven't yet seen it, so they can take a gander into where we're headed next with this. So let's see. Oh, I have to send a request. Let me know if I can share. All right. And we all know how bad I am at computers, so thank you in advance for your patience and kindness.
Corinna, are you the one who has to approve that request? It's not coming on my end, and I'm not seeing make co-host.
Yeah, I did.
Here we go.
Go ahead and approve it.
Okay, great.
Let me get the right. Here we go. So you should be seeing lots of pinks and purple.
Sorry, would you mind on-screen sharing and then sharing again? For whatever reason, we're only seeing a sliver of your screen.
Happy to try again, of course.
Thank you.
Here, I think this is going to work better, and thanks for letting me know it wasn't working. We all know this is an area of continued growth for me.
It's working
okay. Are y'all seeing lots of pinks and purples? Okay, so here is what, and I think goal 2 is a little bit, there we go. A good representation of where we're headed next, where the work is being done, and where the conversations I had with our Family Advisory Council and Youth Council were. So what you're going to see here is your big picture goal. We've had these goals in place for a long time. You're all sick of them. You know them. You like say them in your sleep over and over because you're so excited about them. You'll see then the results that we wrote up as part of the product at our retreat together. Then you'll see our first strategy. Now we get to the good stuff. For those who joined us at the retreat, you remember me saying about 100 million times, what's doable? What's actionable? Choose one of the verbs I've provided. How can we actually get this done? You're going to see what we've chosen as action steps to work towards strategies over the next 4 years. When I went to put this action plan together, I want people to know that 95% of the ideas that came up at the strategic planning retreat made it into the final action plan, which is a super high number based on the work I usually do. Usually a lot more gets screened out. It may not look exactly like the words you said, but it's in there in some form. And you should be able, when this comes your way in just a few weeks, to go to the notes section, because anytime there were ideas that were similar or almost the same, I pulled one out to become the action step, and then I captured all of the notes together in the notes section with anything that looked like it, so we didn't lose any of the ideas. Now, the cool thing that we have done here is we're going to have all these action steps that get us towards the strategy, right? In ways that are doable, in ways that are actionable. What I worked with our youth and family on in the co-creation of this was honing in on each of their top 10 priorities. So we have a whole plan, and if you can't see from the bottom, there's 4 separate big obnoxious pages of goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, goal 4. But our youth and families worked with me to boil it down to the top. It was supposed to be 20, but not surprisingly, there were some shared priorities. So we ended up with essentially the top 18 action steps to tackle over the next 4 years. You can see the 2 shared ones, and then you can see I've color-coded youth and families in that sort of rose and pink. Similarly, because I'm a huge nerd, the same colors are over here in the full plan. So there's 2 places to reference this. But these are going to be really important, because what I would say to you is your action plan has about 115 steps in it. That's not too many for 4 years. That's a very reasonable amount. And it can feel really overwhelming. So in order to make things feel less overwhelming, something I often do in a process like this is boil it down to the top. I love that it says 12. Sorry about that. The top 18. That's some magic lawyer math right there. I'll tell you what. The top 18 that we're really working on and driving towards. If you get these 18 done in the next 4 years, you will easily be one of the best strategic planning clients I've ever worked with, right? If you can get the 18 kind of priorities of the communities that you work with and serve, the youth and families handled in the action steps, you will be, and these are technical terms, crushing it. It would be awesome. So when you start to feel like 115 is way too many, the reason we have this is both to elevate the voices of youth and families, which we know is at the heart of the work that SOCAC does, and also to set some reasonable bounds on where to head over the next couple of years. So I really just want to give a huge shout out. Those meetings with our family advisory committee and the youth committee were a lot of fun. And it was really great to think about, of all the things we can do, where do we really want to sort of put our energy? So we got that great work done. The action plan also spent a nice 5-hour meeting with staff, getting it to a place where it feels reasonable, approachable, doable, thinking through who's going to be in charge of things, what the due dates are going to be. So that is the update. I promised there wouldn't be a lot of hard work. There is one piece of decision-making I wanted to bring to the group. The family advisory council was hoping that we would consider as a group changing the language in the strategic plan where it says ability to saying disability. There was a nice conversation about how it's important to name things as they are, be open and honest about what they are, and the fact that using the term disability, this is a quote, is not a bad word, and it can help bring services, supports, and funding. And I appreciated that input and feedback, and was just really cautious with them and saying, I love that idea. we're not making any changes to the plan without sort of everyone on board. So I'm bringing it to this group to say, in the places in the strategic plan where we have before crafted and used the word ability, is there anyone who objects to me making that important but technical edit to changing the term to disability to better reflect the language requested by our Family Advisory Committee? Now's the time to let me know if that's a problem for you, if you're a no vote on that.
Zafir's asking in the chat if you could maybe pull up an example of it so that we can kind of look at an explicit example of what that would look like.
Happy to do so. There are two places. Give me just 1 second. All right, so we just saw this. Let me see if there's a nice tidy place. Hold, please. You're going to see so much cross-referencing. It's going to make your... Okay, so right here, and I apologize. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Oh, but now you can't read the full sentence, so probably less helpful. Give me 10 seconds to get the tech right. You can see me sort of squirm and panic all at the same time.
You're doing great.
Whoever offered me reassurance, I appreciate it. Tech makes me really nervous. So, oh, no. Oh gosh. Okay, do you see here? Can you see my mouse circling? If not, it's line 11. Maybe that's the best way for me to say this. So line 11, and it comes up in a very similar way elsewhere, but that's the perfect example of where a request was made.
So the change would just be to change, it would say, currently it says, strategy 1, increase services that are respectful and responsive to all cultural beliefs, practices, abilities, and preferred and necessary languages tailored to lived experience. And the edit would be strategy 1, increase services that are respectful and responsive to all cultural beliefs, practices, disabilities, and preferred and necessary languages tailored to lived experience. Is that accurate, Addie?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I'll check the chat also. And I think Alicia has her hand up. I don't want to step on the toes of the chairs.
Alicia, feel free.
Yeah, I appreciate Addie, you bringing this to the group and walking us through that very important step and process of bringing it back to the full group. And I wanted to bring a little bit of just a small context to this particular request. Is that the request actually came because there were multiple mentions during the retreat as well that we utilized the word disability, as it's not necessarily a bad word to use. And when family members had saw this these strategies, it was clear that some of us felt like that initial feedback wasn't heard. That's why we had distinctly requested to update this and bring it back to the full council. So I just wanted to put a little bit of context to that, if that's helpful.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think it's always good to hear, what's the expression, from the horse's mouth, so to speak. I appreciate that, Alicia. Okay, so I'm going to stop
and then
sharing.
in the
just 'cause
chat, you should see Allison Stark agreeing with the recommendation, Emily Cooper agreeing with the recommendation. No one in the chat has disagreed with the recommendation.
Right. I'm only going to stop the share because then I can see everyone all at once and just give one more chance for anyone to disagree. Otherwise, I'm going to take the advice of our Family Advisory Committee and make those edits to the strategic plan. And I think this is a good example, though, as you can see, that I'm trying to keep us grounded in the work that we've done. And so any changes heretofore, just to use a fun word that's good to say out loud, will be made here collectively by everyone. We're not sort of going in and making changes because we're so close to final. So thanks for that. And I really appreciated both the suggestion from the Family Advisory Committee and their understanding when I was like, ooh, got to take that to the full group first. So I appreciate everyone on all of this. That's my update. More to come at the next meeting. You will get to see the exciting background information pieces of the strategic plan. So sort of the full report, the process measures should be a lot closer, and then we'll start to bring forward the implementation plan, the pinks and purples, etc. So sounds great. I would defer to the chairs on whether we need a formal vote. I am just looking at the chat. I'm comfortable with sort of hearing no objection moving forward, but I want to be respectful of the process Annette and Adam prefer.
I don't know that we would need one.
My thoughts as well.
Yeah.
I
Great.
don't think so.
All right, next time look for those changes in the draft, and because there are versions, don't hesitate if I miss it somewhere to just let me know. It won't be on purpose. It will just be a matter of there's a table of contents, then there's a summary, then there's the full draft. So I'm going to do my best, but I appreciate everyone's thoughts.
Like, are we going to
So
do a
great
quick
to see all of
overview
you.
of timeline, like where we move from here outside of October, or is that coming in October?
I think that's coming October because I think, Anna, probably on Friday, you and I will get the chance to make sure we're in lockstep on that, if that's okay with you.
Totally fine. Yep.
And if people need it sooner after Friday, I'm happy to send a quick email timeline for folks too. I just want to give us a chance. I know last Friday it was because of me that we couldn't meet, so I appreciate that.
Gotcha. Got it. Okay. Thanks, Addie. Any final questions
Thanks
for Addie
all.
before she dances out of here?
Nope. Thank you, Addie.
See y'all later.
And also on the slide, was there a SOCAC update, or was it just Addie? I shouldn't say just Addie. Was it Addie?
It says SOCAC staff, and that's where I was like, did we? Because I thought we were going to do a timeline update, but we didn't get a chance on Friday to iron that out. So
Okay.
that will be coming at our next meeting, and our executive strategic planning core team conversation will also probably have some discussions about what the process for public engagement and public comment, public feedback will look like. That will also be part of that timeline. So that's coming up at our next core team conversation.
Thank you. Now we're going to get into our subcommittee reports. So we'll have a brief update from the Family Advisory, Youth Council, OYA, grants, data, DEI, state agency standing, and any other updates that we have so far. So I will call on Alicia for the FAC update.
Thank you, Annette. So I think that, like Addie mentioned just a minute ago, the committee, or the FAC, or Family Advisory Committee, met with Addie, and we sort of fleshed out like our so-called, I guess, non-negotiables is what she mentioned, is what she called them, I guess, for the SOCAC strategic plan. I think the meeting overall went well, and hopefully we can now slow down a bit to kind of refocus on actually building the committee again, and then to become a sustainable part of SOCAC, and to work in collaboration with SOCAC, and hopefully also potentially regular connections with the Youth Council in the future. Other than that, I don't know. Is there anything else, Annette, you would like to add to that?
No, you said it all. Thank you. Youth Council. Jesus, or it's weird.
Like there's not a ton of updates from us. We also had a meeting with Addie to kind of go over the strategic plan, and that went really well. Also, right now we're kind of just hard focusing on making sure we can get the last of the youth that are currently trying to join in and do the whole voting process and plan our next in-person, because we have to reschedule it. But that's about it.
All right. Thank you, Jesus. Oh yeah, either Caleb or Cameron here for Oh yeah.
There's a staff only, I think, update on that one.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I will be giving the update on OYA, also known as the Oregon Youth Addiction Alliance. So OYA's work, is starting to kind of taper down. They are very close to finalizing their strategic plan for youth addiction in the state. It's so exciting. If you have not yet been to an Oh Yeah meeting, I heavily recommend you attend one. Very engaging for even members of the public. Right now, the biggest thing happening is as this work tapers down, the Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission has decided that they are going to take a strategic pause through the months of November and December on all of their meetings, all of their committee meetings. Nothing is happening for those 2 months to the public eye. In the background, what's going to be happening at ADPC is they are really taking everything that they have learned from the Oh Yeah strategic plan, as well as their own larger strategic plan, and shifting into the implementation phase. So we are closing out planning. They're going to take a brief pause and figure out what the future looks like. So we don't know a lot about the future work of Oh Yeah next year, but what we do know is that the work will have less resources, it will have less money, and definitely less meetings. So the work as we currently know it is ending. ADPC has committed to hosting some type of youth substance use space since they've gotten great feedback from the recovery communities across the state that someone's finally listening, right? They finally have a space where they can use their voices. So given the value of this space, we are going to try to keep, or ADPC is committing to keeping at least some type of space, but it may not be Oh Yeah, and it's definitely going to look very, very different. And we're figuring out how different through the months of November and December.
Thank you,
And that's
Joylene.
an update on Oh Yeah. Thank you.
Gonna call on Ledge right now.
Yeah, and just yeah, so we have a bit of a conflict and we're ahead of schedule, so we're going to shift and do the legislative report real quick to make sure that Robin has time while she's here. Before she does get started, I just want to call out there's an email exchange earlier, like that is being addressed, so just know that we're not going to dive into that here. And then also just a note that for folks, a reminder that on September 2nd in our meeting, we took a council vote to move the approval of the legislative report to the legislative subgroup. That group did approve the legislative report to move forward. So there is not a vote of approval on our legislative report today. That happened. The council made that decision on the 2nd to move that to the legislative subgroup. So with that, I will turn it over to Robin.
Adam, you are fantastic and wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Annette, for accommodating my need to take off at 4 o'clock for another meeting. We did review the legislative report, took in a lot of feedback, a lot of really great questions, made some edits to that, and we will be submitting that legislative report as the legislative committee approved it at our meeting last time. Did I miss anything, Anna?
It was attached to the email, so folks can see what it is, and I will hit submit as soon as we are done with this conversation. But we had decided that we wanted to make sure the council had one last chance to see it, and so we are submitting it a day late so that you all could look at it in advance of the final submission. However, we went back and looked at the notes, and what Adam said stands.
Emily Cooper. Emily, you are still muted if you are talking, but your screen is off, so I can't see.
Yeah, I'm having internet issues. So I wanted to flag for the council that what worries me about the legislative report that was voted on and is out of the legislative council is reference to a report that was done separate from SOCAC, but really talks a lot about the concerns that I've raised before regarding 3835. I'm really worried that the report in our recommendation number 4 we're basically saying we not only recommend that we relook at the abuse and neglect definitions and who gets investigated and when and how and by who. We're relying on this report that I think has several problems. First and foremost, it really lacked family and youth involvement. And secondly, I just think it's tough for us as a council to be in support of or condoning a report that narrows definitions of abuse and neglect when in my seat as from Disability Rights Oregon and investigating a lot of this abuse and neglect, we don't want to make it harder to find wrongdoers culpable. If anything, we want to make things safer for youth and families. And so while I understand there's been a vote and the report will go out as is, I am making a plea that we remove reference to that problematic report in that recommendation, keep it as is, but not rely on a report that's rife with problems.
Emily, I appreciate your opinion. Our decision and conversation around this came around aligning with national best practice recommendations for what other states are doing. And Oregon is not in alignment with the vast majority of states in the country. And I don't know that there's the evidence base that supports Oregon's practices over what are nationally identified best practices. And that's part of the conversation that we had at that committee. And it would not be in keeping with the discussions that we had in that meeting to change the report at this time. But thank you for your feedback.
One other thing, I didn't see anything about national best practices in House Bill Report 4086. And I just want to make it clear that if this report had been voted on by the council, I would have blocked that provision to be included in this report. And it worries me that this was delegated to Legislative Council. The full council wasn't allowed to look at this and that it's going out. I just think it's really problematic and if there's a way we can fix it and not have reference to HB 4086 in our legislative recommendations, I really think we should pause and be careful.
I appreciate your opinion.
And consider a GARE tool.
I appreciate your opinion, Emily. This is not a report that the SOCAC participated in writing. House Bill 4086 hired and I was not part of the House Bill 4086 process, so I can't really speak to that. But we had the discussion at the Legislative Committee and have moved forward.
I just want to note that the recommendation is on screen, should be on screen. Hopefully it is on screen. It's the bold. Legislature should hold hearings during legislative days on both reports. So that's the report from the Committee on Children Exhibiting Complex Sexual Behaviors and the Committee on the Jurisdiction Committee. That's what I mean by both reports here. And then commit to taking specific actions outlined in each report in accordance with national best practices. I don't know whether 4086 is mentioning best practices, but the SOCAC's recommendation is to align next steps with national best practices.
And I would be great with that language. I think that would be fine. But I mean, the report on House Bill 4086 didn't even come out until yesterday. So I think we're just moving really quickly. And this is an area where we should be slow and more cautious, especially because we're talking about child safety.
Yeah. Thank you, Emily. It does in that language that is that taking specific actions outlined in each report in accordance with national best practices. So I think that is the statement that is in the report that is being submitted, is not to accept blanket, but to accept and take specific actions in accordance with national best practices. So, any other thoughts, comments? Alicia, go ahead. I think Emily's hand is a stale hand.
Definitely stale. Sorry, taking it
Stale
down.
hand. I love that word or that term. I wonder, is there any guidance around or kind of information around who or where we could actually identify or find those national best practices? If they're not, because I haven't been able to read, I haven't had time to read the report yet. So I'll full transparency, I have not read the report, and I didn't get it until this morning, or didn't find out about it being released until this morning, I think. I mean, I wonder if there is, like, who determines what national best practices is? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, it would be a review of current practices, right? I think there's also, I'm sure, like national child welfare, like there were national child welfare experts that worked on this report, um, but um, but there's national experts like Chapin Hall, there's Casey Family, right? There's a variety of groups that are considered national experts, and then there are also, aggregate reports of what is practice across the country. I don't think that that's for the System of Care Advisory Council to decide. I don't think we're saying we will be the deciders of what is considered national best practice. We're just asking that the legislature look at that and make that determination. Robin, go ahead.
That makes sense. I just wanted to make sure that perhaps like we elaborate on the language to mean, or to make it understandable that perhaps we're not necessarily just asking the legislature just to take everything out of HB or out of the 4086 report and then kind of use it as, the end all be all of all decisions, but perhaps also identify national best practices if it's not listed within the report. I think that's what I was asking. But I appreciate the follow-up. Thanks, Adam.
Robin. Yeah, sure. Of course. Go ahead, Robin.
I just really want to clarify. I don't see us in this recommendation saying that the SOCAC is endorsing the report. We don't say that. We're saying that the legislature should hold hearings on both reports. They should talk about them, which is what they should do, and they should commit to taking specific actions. We didn't say all actions, but they need to take some actions outlined in each report in accordance with national best practices, because none of us had seen the report in advance. We didn't have an advance copy of it to know what was in there. And we're just asking that the legislature consider these because they were of significant discussion last session. And it may be that the legislature decides to take no action based on that report. That's fine. We're just asking that they consider the reports and have a conversation very, very simply. No, this is not an endorsement. This is asking that they have a conversation during the short session. I hope that provides the clarity that we need so that we can, any other clarity needed in that point? All right, I believe that completes my report there and the legislative committee. And I believe that the legislative committee, I think, is meeting monthly for the next couple of months until I think probably October and November and potentially December. It depends on what kind of pieces of legislation we start to see coming out for the short session. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. And now we will go back to our committee updates. I believe up next was grants. Emily, do you have an update?
Yeah. First, I think huge shout out to Christy, who her ability to herd cats is like unparalleled. We met yesterday to look at the 2025 to 2027 grant proposals and review what the local systems of care have provided to us. And it's just really cool because not only is Christy good at herding cats, but the process has been refined at this point, where as a subcommittee, Annette, Alicia, Ruby and I were able, and others were able to really look at what each of the locals was doing with their grants. Some of them were really cool and innovative. Some of them we had questions on, but there's this real sense of like what's happening on the ground. And reviewing those and providing feedback, asking questions, expressing some concerns happened. But I think all in all, the locals are really doing fantastic work. The two things I will report out on in particular based on my reviews, but Alicia, Annette, Ruby join in if there are other things. The difference in youth and family engagement with the vast majority of these locals is in stark contrast to a few years ago. We're seeing that really show up in the use of Agile funds and how youth and family are asking for specific things to help bridge gaps in the system. And that's been really great. And then the other thing that I really have appreciated is the call out specifically to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and seeing what some of these locals are doing to really make sure they're addressing gaps that are most impacted by the BIPOC community and what they're doing to address that. And again, not all locals are the same. Some have other strengths than others, but all in all, I think it's just been cool to be on the grants subcommittee for a number of years and see that the process and the feedback and the interaction between us and the locals really improve. But I'll stop there. Christy, Annette, Alicia, Ruby, anything else you guys wanted to chime in with?
No, I think you're absolutely correct. It was really, I left that meeting really feeling like there had been a whole change into what we saw a couple years ago with the grants and how the different counties have worked really hard on that. So yeah, that's all I have to add. Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, I 100% agree. There were some places where there were some kind of question marks, but I think overall, hoping with potentially more technical assistance to local SOCs or some sort of bi-directional communication, I think there's some really amazing things happening within the different communities around Oregon.
Thank you. And so we'll have an update from data, then I'll give a brief update from DEI, and then the state agency standing. Andrew?
Hi, good afternoon. Hello. Hey, I'm wondering if whoever is the wizard behind the curtain could pull up that section of the strategic plan summary that has those kind of core indicators, the draft of the core indicators. See, look, there goes the Wizard of Oz right now. It looks like it's loading. I think it's on page 2 of this. Oh, wait, it's on page 14 of the big document. I'm pretty sure. So at least I think it is. Maybe not. Should have made this easier.
Yeah, it's page 5, Anna, is the quickest way to get there, I think.
Okay, there we go. I'm looking at the summary document where it's page 2 of 9, so.
Yeah, it looks like Anna pulled up the live edited version.
Big one.
It's page 5, Christy?
Yes.
All right, I'm way too.
So while she's finding those.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Go up still. That's where I was editing. I was pointing you to the executive summary.
Oh, okay. I'll get there. 6, 5.
And we're not going to make any votes.
There you go. Right
there it is. There they are. Okay. So you see those strategic indicators there in the middle of the page. We're still working on these, but kind of put in your mind that there are going to be two essential groups of indicators that are going to be evaluating the success of this plan. This group right here is intended to evaluate the overall direction of the system as it, hopefully improves with the work that we and others are going to do. It's intended to be more outcome oriented and less process oriented. Separate from that, each strategy will have some process indicators. We have not come up with those yet. That's what's going to happen next. And these indicators right here are still in process too. There's a couple of things that are worth pointing out. They're in your materials. Just pull up the summary that's attached to this calendar invite or one of the many documents that these are in now. Couple things to point out about this. All of them, we have had a very clear discussion that the intention is that all of these indicators will be looked at in a stratified way. We'll look at them, by race, by ethnicity, by age, by geography, and make sure that we're following the trends by all of those groups that are really important to our work, rather than making a measure that's specifically about, increasing this or increasing that for a certain population. So we're going to be looking at subpopulations for all of it to get away from kind of like the universalism of it, things get skewed if you just look at one big number about things. We need to break it down by the different groups that we want to know about. A couple other things that are important. One is I'm still having some discussion, although we haven't had it as a committee, about how much we want to measure increases. What do we want to see happen more? And how often, and what we want to measure decreases, what we want to see less. And so, for example, that one kind of in the middle that says decrease out-of-home placement across all systems. We would have subgroups under there for the mental health system and the child welfare system and things like that. But alternatively, and we'll have this discussion, I'd be curious to know if people have opinions here. Alternatively, we could flip that and say, increase the rate of, in-home and community-based services across all systems. We've got data on both sides of that in our dashboard. And so I am a fan of that one. I'd like to have an equal balance of what do we want to see less of and what do we want to see more of. Right now, as we look at these indicators, 4 of this, well, now there's 8 on here. 5 of the 8 are, we want to see less of this. I'm kind of thinking that we should be flipping it and saying, we want to see more of what we're interested in. So those are just some of the kind of machinations that are going on as we're trying to sort this out. Anybody's welcome to join the data committee as we have, thrilling discussions and have surveys and do all the things. And then Cody's going to tell me everything I just said that was wrong.
That's not true, Andrew. I just want to make sure that folks know that it might sound like it's just a framing question to look at increase versus decrease, but that's not necessarily the case. So if this question is looking at decreasing the number of youth boarded in an emergency department, that could just be a reduction in total services versus if we go increase in different services, that could just be more kiddos that are using the system. And so there's different ways that we could frame this to get at what the end goal actually is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So anyway, this is where we are. If you have there are data sources for all of these that are pretty reliable, and there's more work to come. But I think that concludes our report for now.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Cody. I will quickly report on DEI. In our October meeting, we will be reviewing the results of the GARE analysis on our strategic plan. And I'm sorry, I just Sorry. Yeah, that's what we'll be doing in October. So Cody does have that completed. So we'll be reviewing that. Next up, state agency standing, Anna, and any other updates that we have.
Thanks, Annette. Ebony, I don't know if there's anything you want to say as chair of that.
Oh, can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I just pulled over because I was driving. I'll just say that I know I was out on vacation in the last meeting, but Anna, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that there was a presentation in the last meeting in August for system of care financing presentation, if I'm correct. I will say that, you know, I have appreciated the last kind of several months really working to be mindful and intentional around kind of the barrier escalation pathway and really working to review to really look at what have we brought resolution to, looking at this reality of the resolution that we can bring within kind of our lane and authority, understanding that there's various pieces and layers and levels versus things that we need to continue to refine to bring a level of resolution to. And then just have appreciated also the last few months really being able to take some time to make sure that we are aligned and in agreement on just how we're defining resolution. I will also say that, you know, and also while we've kind of took time to kind of look at, you know, kind of the current list to make sure that, you know, we have brought closure and resolution, then opportunity to bring forward new areas that are being identified as system challenges as we move forward. And I believe that there's been recommendations of being able to also use that table to understand how the various agencies will be kind of stepping into ledge days and preparing for the next legislative session, and, you know, looking at, you know, what are any kind of proposed recommendations or thoughts around policy option packages, just to make sure that we are aligned in, you know, discussing and in lockstep with this table. So that's what I'll say. But Anna, I don't know what you would add.
I don't know that I would add anything. I would say the report that we had at the last state agency standing committee meeting about different financing, we were looking at blended or braided funding strategies that have worked in other places and sort of some of the steps that other states took to get from being messy like we are with their data living all over in different types of systems to getting to a place where they have the data necessary to do the blended or braided funding. There was a piece of that that really sort of sparked for me. There was one slide, I think it was slide 22 of their slide deck. It's available on our state agency standing committee tile on our webpage. That really was looking at sort of one consistent door, right? So for them, it's almost like 988 is the door. It's not exactly that. But basically there's a phone number that you can call, and anyone can call that number and go through the process to get an assessment and then get a placement in community-based care, partial day, residential, whatever that appropriate location is based on that common assessment. So we would have a lot of work to do, but it reflects some of the priorities that are in the strategic plan around facilitating access, sort of insurance blind, geography blind, right? Making sure that folks have access to the care they need, no matter where they come from the state or who's paying for that care. So there was some good motivation for me in that it is doable, and that it may take us 18 years, but that we can get there if we keep working together on it. And that's all I've got for now. And I don't know if there's any other committees like work groups or anything. Like, Christy, do you want to mention like respite work group is on pause or any of those things? No? Okay.
I think that's all I would say about respite for now. Yeah.
Adam, I feel like I've been a mic hog for the whole meeting, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, yeah, that works. Whatever. I like no stress. Like I say, facilitation is a team sport indeed, as we have demonstrated today. So yeah, I think if that is all the subcommittee reports, then we, like I said, we are early today, and so it is time for public comment. So if folks wish, you can privately chat with Joylene Carter, Alicia Overstreet, or Annette Magicotami if you have questions or comments that you don't want to say but would rather have someone else say for you. Otherwise, if folks could raise their hand, their virtual hand, if they have public comment.
I don't see anything on my end, Adam.
Okay. Selby, I see in the chat there questions about the strategic plan. Okay. Yes, there will be opportunity for all. Just looking in the chat if there's anything else that I missed. Seeing some historical comments. Just on a note about some of the kind of historical comments in the chat. We do in our bylaws allow for subcommittees to make decisions for the council with some exceptions. So that is in accordance of our bylaws, and also the full council did formally approve the subcommittee to make those decisions regarding the legislative report. There's also some some discussion in there, and just to be clear, as far as representing the System of Care Advisory Council in the legislature, generally that is done by Anna or the legislative chair. There's also some discussion about that being the co-chairs, but not specific members of the council outside of that. So that is just in our bylaws, just as a note. So any other public comment? All right. Well, I guess we can give, if there isn't any, I guess we can give folks some time back. We'll wrap up. So yeah, our next meeting is canceled. So just a heads up for folks, October 7th is canceled. October 21st is in person. It is a long meeting, digging back into the strategic plan. I do think, Anna, you had maybe one quick announcement.
Yes, actually, I added another one in my head as I remembered I should have said this during committee reports. Last time on our September 2nd meeting, Adam moved for a full GARE analysis on the professional authorizations recommendations from the House Bill 4151 work group. That work is being completed and wasn't able to be completed by this meeting, which is when we had planned to meet on it. And so in order to sort of not duplicate efforts, the full report will be provided with a full GARE analysis just on those professional authorizations recommendations, and then the short GARE on the rest of the report. We will be discussing that in November, since October is really prioritized for strategic planning, and the final 4151 report is not due until December. So that will give us enough time to do any follow-up work on the 4151 report after we see it all in its context with its equity analyses applied. And I think it will make a lot more sense to you all without the professional authorizations piece pulled out, with it all in context, because the other two committees, as we discussed, really did talk a lot about those other equity conversations. So that's the work group report for 4151. And then the other report, and Adam Peterson is out on vacation, but he is our membership chair He is working on all of the membership changes that we have coming up. So we've got folks who are terming out. We were finally losing people who were founding members of the council to term limits. So that's kind of a big deal. We have a number of folks who are no longer eligible to renew their terms at the council, and we'll be finding new seats or new people to sit in those seats. We'll be putting all that information out to you in October, so you can think about, who do you want to be recruiting to fill some of those spots that are going to be coming open. We have some folks who are interested in renewing their seats. We're going to be doing an interview process for that, and for all new members who are coming in to try to assess for fit. One of the things we've learned over the past 3 years is that it's a good idea to talk expectations in advance rather than figure out that we've got a mismatch of expectations after we've already made a 3-year commitment to one another. Turns out marriage counseling is a good idea, whether it's in your work life or your personal life. And I'm going to put a memo together that just sort of articulates what the process is going to look like. Everybody can see it in writing. We can have more conversations about it. But I just wanted to sort of put that out there to you, that we know big membership changes are coming. We've got 4 new members, 4 new seats for people with lived experience that do not legally exist until January 1st. So how we're going to recruit and onboard for those is also a conversation, and Joylene has been really digging in on putting a process together for that. We've had some incredible leadership from our youth council co-chairs on what onboarding should look like and what they want it to look like. They've put together some pretty incredible materials for us. They're taking a pause on that right now while we wait for the strategic planning process to work its way a little further, so that they're not orienting people to something that isn't real anymore as things change a little bit over the next few months. But we're going to definitely use the work that they've done and turn it into an onboarding process in the new year. So Joylene, I saw you come on camera. Is there anything else on that you want to make sure the council is aware of, sort of the behind the scenes preparing the fertile soil? Oh, youth adult partnership. Also, wanting to make sure we've got all of our folks trained on the youth adult partnership model that we voted to adopt at the beginning of 2025, and really haven't moved on since then, just due to time constraints.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add is just to clear up some expectations on timeline, as those 2 new youth positions and 2 new family member positions come on board. That is actually overlining with the same timeline that we are trying to clean up all of these processes and figure out how to implement that youth adult partnership model in all of our spaces and onboarding stuff. So we have made the decision, rather than to bring people on and then do that big transition with them, we want to make sure that everything is clean and ready before we actually go in and start approving applications to bring more youth and family on. So hopefully the table is a little more set for the new folks when they join us. I know a lot of our youth and family who have been here in this work before the table was entirely set. While we're grateful for their help building the table, we want to make sure that the new folks who come in have a greater chance at success right off the bat. And the timeline for that is looking like early spring.
All right. Anything else, Anna? Team?
That's all I've got.
All right. Well, we'll give you some time back, folks. See y'all, I'm sure, in a subcommittee group before October 21st, but we'll hope to see y'all in person on the 21st of October at the Portland, what is that? The Public Service?
Portland State Office Building, and we will have a Zoom option. So if you can't make it, particularly if you are appointed member, please do join us online. We'll be facilitating it in a hybrid fashion. For members of the public, you are welcome to join us in person if you want to sit in the room and watch and listen, or if you want to watch us online, the Zoom link will be the same.
All right. All right, everybody. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.